Welcome to episode 2 of Why2K. I'm joined by the awesomeness that is Mr. DJ King and Mr. Bobby Cash, Ka-ching, and we are looking at WCW in the year 2000. We're watching it, so you don't have to.
Because we do this for free. We do this. We give up our own time. And we watch this utter garbage so that you people out there don't have to. I mean, a thanks would be nice. Flowers.
Wait, you don't get...
Maybe.
You don't get paid?
No, Bobby, come on. It's British wrestling. Of course we don't get paid. It's a handshake and a hot dog, and you know that.
I should start selling raffle tickets for each episode.
We'll take
it pays my wages.
So, gentlemen, obviously we've had episode 1 was sold out. I enjoyed that. I remember the start of that episode where myself and Bobby, we was all like, "Yeah, this is awesome." And obviously, DJ, you was like, "No, bag of wank. This is the whole point of this series. It's freaking awful." And it's only taken 2 shows, and I'm now I'm part of your gang now. I'm like, this was a bag of wank. It was awful.
To start out by saying, before Bobby puts me to shame, because I know he's gone to, I haven't watched the Nitros. I tried to watch one Nitro afterwards, thinking, okay, Benoit's left. The Radicals, boom, they've all gone. But Benoit was the champ. I would like to see how they resolved the situation, because I didn't actually remember how they resolved the title situation. I knew it was going to go to Sid at some point. I just didn't know how. So I'm thinking, okay, they'll explain on Nitro, because that's what Nitro's for, explaining what happened after the pay-per-view. Nope, we're not going to explain this. We're going to explain it on Thunder. And at that point, I went, no, I'm not watching these. I'm not watching this. You can fuck off. I'd rather go into it confused. So, let's go!
In my defense, I watched a few of the Nitros and the Thunders before we recorded the first episode. So, I actually haven't... I watched the next night to see how they got out with it. I watched the Thunder, how they set up the Nitro where Sid wins the belt, and I think I aged about 10 years.
It was awful.
Trying to get through it. I watched Sid win the belt, and I've not watched Nitro or Thunder since. And you know, we've had a couple of weeks since then until we get to SuperBrawl, but I've not watched it, and I don't think we can put ourselves through it.
Yeah, I think we should though mention what we can before the show starts. What the hype video at the beginning really gives us, because the opening package is a very different WCW to the WCW we had at the end of the last pay-per-view.
So much happens in this company in such a short amount of time. This video package at the start was actually really helpful.
It was. I was quite grateful for this video package, because if they hadn't showed it, I'd have had no idea of about 80% of what was going on this show.
So fingers crossed that they do one of these before every pay-per-view, so at least it'll keep us up to speed. Yeah. Because 4 weeks in WCW is like 6 months everywhere else.
And I hope we get one every single show.
Yeah. But I don't think, just to kick off, it might change as we talk about it, but I don't think this show was as bad as you guys are making out. I think it wasn't great. It wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst thing I've ever watched.
Nick?
Yeah.
Why did we hire a WCW 2000 apologist to be on this podcast with us?
We've got to balance it out.
Honest.
Just playing devil's advocate.
Bobby Cash, what is Vince Russo paying you to be like this?
Come on, bro.
He's paying me the big bucks, bro.
I swear to God, Bobby. I swear to God. You need to talk about how good I was in the year 2000.
I swear to God, I am not being paid. Nick, sorry, bring some decorum to this. Bring some decorum to this.
That was the first of many Vince Russo impressions in this podcast, I'm telling you right now.
I love it. That's amazing. But yeah, it's obviously, as we said, SuperBrawl 2000. This is Kevin Sullivan's last show before Russo comes back. Obviously, Russo's still out of this one at the minute due to politicking and backstage bollocks and stuff like that. So Kevin Sullivan's still trying to get something done, trying to wrap up the story arcs that had been created several months ago. It's the first pay-per-view, as you pointed out, since the Radicals left. They've all gone. So yeah, WCW is just basically in a state of flux. And what better way to start than a good old-fashioned cruiserweight? We can always rely on the cruiserweight division to start a pay-per-view off strong. It's got to be banging. It's got to be awesome. It's got Prince It's got Prince IK in it.
No, I'm going with that.
Oh, Nick, and I'm looking directly into the camera so you can see how serious I am about this. You put some fucking respect in your voice, and you give him his full name right now.
The artist formerly known as Prince IK. Apologies.
That's fucking right. The best thing that Vince Russo ever did in his run was create this gimmick. That's it. I don't even remember what happened in the fucking match. I just know Prince IK was in it.
Do you remember in the last show when I talked about David Flair being GCSE drama?
Yeah.
Yep.
Prince IK is A-level drama. He's got a bigger budget. He's got bigger costumes, but he's bollocks.
He's learned to make fun of himself a little bit, but still quite into himself. Also,
Sharmell.
Had no idea that Paisley was Sharmell.
Nope.
Yeah, I did.
Crazy.
I did. It's it's strange how, because Sharmell, you always know her as Booker T's wife and manager and stuff like that, but she was doing stuff before she was even associated with Booker T, which I didn't know.
But she was a Nitro girl, wasn't she?
Yes.
Originally.
Yes,
I didn't realise. I know Stacy Keibler started as a Nitro girl as well. I didn't realise so many of them actually went on to do other things in WCW. Because the Nitro girls were just the Nitro girls.
Yeah, I mean, they started...
it was like the first one they brought in, wasn't it?
I think it was more of a... We pay you a lot of money, so you're either going to learn to wrestle and do something, or we're just going to fire you. So I think a few of them they wanted the money. So I think that's why people like Paisley, Sharmell, Stacy Keibler, Kimberly Page, she was one of them. I
feel like Kimberly Page really led the charge for the Nitro girls to go from being Nitro girls to actual characters on the show. Obviously, she had an easier in because she was DDP's wife, and she'd managed them in the past as well. So it did make sense for her. But I do think she did open that door for the rest of the Nitro girls to go, oh, hang on, there's maybe something else I can do here. And not a lot of them took advantage of it, but the ones who did, you can see how it worked out well for them. Stacy Keibler, Sharmell, they went on to be much bigger in wrestling than just being a Nitro girl.
I think it says a lot, the fact that we're talking about the Nitro girls and not this Cruiserweight match. Nick, do you remember anything that happens in this match? Because I only remember one thing.
Yep. I know about three things I can tell you.
Go
about.
Ahead, give it us.
Well, obviously we've mentioned the artist. Shout out to the man with the best sideburns in the business as well, Mr. Lash LaRue, who was his opponent, and it was the final for the the now vacant Cruiserweight title, which had been vacated by Oklahoma after what we saw at the last show against Medusa. They kind of realised that's just a massive ball ache. We can't have Oklahoma as champ. Get the belt off him. Shitty character, really bad taste. Let's never see him again or speak of him again. The winner of this match gets crowned the new Cruiserweight champ. And I remember, obviously, now the artist is a spoof of Prince. You know, they kind of got to play it up a little bit where he swings both ways. So, you know, to stop himself from getting sunset flipped, you know, he grabs the ref's junk as a just stop momentum. And then at another point, he's licking his finger and rubbing it down Lash's chest. Because, you know, that's something Prince would do.
Is it?
Probably not, Bob. But he always gave off more that Prince could possibly do something like that. And I kind of think, like, you're giving someone like, you know, I'm sorry, Prince IAK, he's not Oscar-worthy fucking actor, is he? And you say, or you're basically saying to him, go out there and be Prince. And he goes, oh, so just go out there and be a bit like, woo. And that's basically what he did. He put him in a purple outfit. He went, ooh, and did this with his finger a bit.
What did you think of this match itself?
Lash was like a bargain basement Chris Jericho. They basically, it wasn't just him. There was someone else. It was Lodi. I remember seeing them as a tag team before this and being like, oh, hang on, they're just two. They've basically been dressed up as two Chris Jerichos, and it's like, yeah, be two Y2Js, and that'll be good. And then Lash LaRue's now on his own, and it's like, oh, it's very much more obvious that you are just a rip-off of Chris Jericho at this point. To me, literally the only interesting thing about this match is Prince Iakea's entrance. The whole the Prince gimmick this is the first time we've seen it on a pay-per-view, as far as I'm aware. And it's like, okay, this is cool. This is boss. Like, this is funny, especially for me, who is, you know, a fucking massive Prince fan. It was awesome. But then as soon as the entrance was done, as soon as the match started, I lost so much interest.
Back to reality.
I mean, to be honest, it was kind of slim pickings in terms of who they were going to put the belt on. Because I've got the brackets here. Because they did do a recap, but I'll just so people know, it was Psychosis versus Kaz Hayashi, and then Ikea versus Kid Romeo.
Sorry, before you carry on, I just would like to mention something, just in case we never ever get to like mention it again on the podcast, right? That match that you just mentioned, the first match in the tournament, Psychosis versus Kaz Hayashi, yeah? Mm-hmm. No reason whatsoever, Juventud Guerrero comes out, and do we all remember what Juventud Guerrero was doing at this point?
The juice.
He was just being the Rocks.
I think I texted you about this.
Yeah, he was just coming out, doing the Rock stuff, doing the Rock's intro terribly, changing the words so that it was the juice and juicy, and oh my god.
I have a memory I have like a core memory that the Rock buries this.
Yes, he does.
Who the hell is Juventud Guerrero? Juventud?
That is literally those words leave the Rock's mouth. But it's just so, like, to me, that is the epitome of what WCW at this period is. It's like, let's copy as much as what they're doing as we can and see what fucking sticks. But we'll get into that about big misses and big hits as we go.
So you had Psychosis and Kaz Hayashi, and then you had Prince Ikea and Kid Romeo, and then Lash LaRue against Evan Courageous, and then Shannon Moore versus Shane Helms, who are a team in the first round. Russo is obsessed with this, by the way. He's obsessed with tournaments, having partners wrestle each other.
Well, he could have at least put them both through to the second round, which would have made a bit more sense. Not just have them drawn in the first round against each other.
No, and then Psychosis wins his match, but for some reason doesn't compete in the semi-final. So Kaz Hayashi, who lost, gets put back in and loses anyway. Would have been pretty. I think it would have been better actually for Prince Ikea if he'd got a bye to the final. He didn't wrestle again, so he's kind of got that story of. Lash LaRue gets that. He's had to wrestle an extra match.
Yeah, but come on, Bobby. That would have made sense.
I mean, I try. I really do. I don't want to talk about this match anymore.
One more thing.
Get the screenshot in.
But one more thing to mention. Paisley gets up on the apron way too soon. It's like, obviously she needs to be there for the finish. She's got to hook the artist arms for that shitty looking Frankensteiner. But she's on the ring apron for about 5 minutes before that spot happens. And it's really kind of disconcerting. It's
very clear that Paisley / Sharmell, that this is early on in her career, because you look at the stuff she did with Booker when it was King Booker and Queen Sharmell. She never missed. She was a great manager for Booker. So you can still, she learned on the job basically, and this is the earlier part. So
to be honest, I thought you were going to mention something else, which is the only note that I've written for this match. Paisley kicks Lash LaRue
after the bells rang.
After the bells rang, and nothing happens. Anyway,
I will say this: Prince Iaukea DDT off the top rope.
Oh, no thanks. Ugh.
What? It's for me. It's a very divisive move. A lot of people react like you just did, Bob, but I quite like it.
Oh yeah, I liked it, but I was like, what else have you got me?
I think Lash sells it poorly as well, though. That's the problem, especially at the end of this match.
It's one of the moves you've got to sell it like you've just been shit-canned. There's no other way.
Definitely.
And, Iaukea wins, isn't it?
Yep.
He's now the champ. We will just
strip off music one more time, baby. Woo!
Yeah, it's enough to make doves cry, I tell you.
Oh, darling.
It's the hardcore title match.
Right, this is right. Okay, we mentioned beforehand, that they've kind of shown you previously, kind of like get you caught up with stuff that's going on. That confused the hell out of me more on this match because Finlay cost Knobbs the title a few weeks ago on Nitro. And then they're back together. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of figured that when Finlay showed up, it'd be like, oh, Finlay's getting involved. Oh, he's just going to try and cost Knobbs again. And then the next thing, they're just bezies. They just forgot what happened 2 weeks ago. All right,
really weird. It was so strange.
Sorry, Bob. The only note I wrote for this was Bam Bam was robbed.
I'll tell you this, though. Brian Knobbs had a pre-match promo, and I really liked it.
Oh, BA, but that was just 80s generic. Rah, 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 rah.
I was pumped up, man. I was ready for. I wanted Knobbs. There's a soundbite for you.
You did want Knobbs, yeah.
Knobs for cash.
It's just me. I thought Brian Knobbs was decent. Never mind. Move on.
Ash thought Knobbs were decent.
Childish.
The problem is, though, it's
you love Knobbs. Fucking hell! All right then.
The problem is, though, it's we've seen better. Again, I hate to make the comparisons because we're talking WCW here, but this is a piss poor version of what they were doing up north, and it was good for WCW hardcore, but Knobbs he's still just a nasty boy. I'm not buying him as a hardcore wrestler. I'm not buying him as anything other than one half of a twatty tag team.
Well, I mean, like you said, Nick, it's a very much watered down version of what WWF were doing at the time. And the problem is that everyone, you guys will agree with me. Everyone agrees on this. What brought WCW to the dance, other than the NWO at the time, was the Cruiserweight division. WWF could not compete with their Cruiserweight division. The light heavyweight division was dog shit. So they created this hardcore division. And I'm not saying that the hardcore division was their Cruiserweight division, but I'm saying they had something unique that WCW didn't have, just like WCW had something unique that they didn't have. And WCW, rather than going, do you know what, fucking no, stick with what's brought us to the dance, Let's put some more fucking focus behind the cruiserweights. Let's bring in some new cruiserweights, some new talent, some fresh guys from Mexico, some fresh guys from Japan. No, he went, we'll play them at their game, and we'll try and do hardcore matches. And it just didn't go, just didn't translate as well. WCW should have always had a major focus on the cruiserweight division, because the cruiserweight division was always going to be the beginning of your stream to new talent.
Yeah.
The thing is, as well, what I don't understand is the hardcore division in WCW. It's the guys that are in it that doesn't really make sense to me either. Because you've got, okay, Brian Knobbs is not the best wrestler you've ever seen, but he's Hogan's best friend. How was he lumped in the hardcore division? Surely he would have been in like the TV title division or whatever if it was still around. Being Hogan's mate. You had Bam Bam Bigelow, who main evented WrestleMania 5 years before this. You had Finlay, who's one of the best. Is Finlay a cruiserweight?
No, he was TV. He was like firmly in the TV title.
But what I mean by that is, could he have qualified to be a cruiserweight wrestler?
No, too heavy.
It's too heavy, because he could have done some good stuff in there, because he could have been the new Dean Malenko. He wasn't flashy.
So, I was just going to say, he would have fit that Malenko role in the cruiserweight division so well if he was light enough, but no, he was way too big.
And then you've got Haku, who's, he's right, fine. I mean, Terry Funk is doing other things right now. So I think they what they could have done is, I don't know, read the list of names that I read out there for the cruiserweight title. Take some of them, put them in the hardcore division, so it's for younger guys, and maybe, I don't know, because it's the fact that it's a cruiserweight title doesn't help. If it was a TV title, it might be a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like swap belts. But
maybe even unify the cruiserweight and the TV at that point. Make the TV title more, for the cruiserweights.
This match, it was, as you sort of said, it was a diluted, watered down, hardcore WCW hardcore title. Knobbs halfway through tells Finlay, "Don't help me, I can do this on my own. I've got this." And then by the end of it, Finlay helps him, and Knobbs is like, "Hey, it's all good. I forgive you." And then
Bobby did that finish so much he left.
No, I'm just, I'm in my bedroom. So I'm just sorting my baby's cut out. Talk amongst yourselves. Carry on.
Because next is 3-on-1 handicap match. Screaming Norman Smiley with the big wiggle against 3 Count.
Can we just, before we talk about the match itself, can we just talk about 3 Count?
To say one thing about 3 Count before anything else gets said, right? And I had this conversation with another wrestling promoter earlier on today, and he said to me, "Well, I'll never need to be on this podcast because you just said exactly what I would have said." If WWF had 3 Count, all 3 of those lads would be millionaires to this day.
I could not have said that any better, because they would have got a single released, an actual music video, an actual song. It would have been in stores.
Right, say what you will about Vince McMahon, but he would have squeezed every single penny out of those boys. And imagine the feuds. Imagine 3 Count trying to recruit Too Cool and Rikishi to be their backup dancers. Boom. Imagine 3 Count, the boy band, fighting the goth vampire brood.
Oh,
Imagine
man.
what it could have been. Imagine how funny it would have been with them and Edge and Christian.
That would have been, like, the thing is as well, and I said this to you personally, wrestling needs highly gimmicked stables. If there's one thing that Vince Russo loves, it's stables. But if there's one thing that he was actually, for the good or for the bad, whether they committed to it or not, he loves gimmick stables. They've all got a gimmick. It's not just a bunch of lads thrown together. 3 Count are 3 guys from the power plant who needed a break, and they were given this gimmick. I can't. You'd have to correct me if I'm wrong about who actually, if it was Vince Russo who came up with 3 Count, but they were amazing. So good.
It feels like a Vince Russo gimmick.
Yeah.
It feels like something Russo would have created, and it like something that he could have created at WWF. But I just don't think they had the right people to do it. I think maybe the rebirth of Too Cool, the dancing Too Cool, was maybe as close to that as you would have got. And maybe that was the original point with them, because they did start out as heels and everyone hated them because they were coming out dancing and all that stuff. But obviously it got over like hell. And the same thing would have happened with 3 Count, especially with the 3 guys you had in the group, because all 3 of them could go. And when after they took up the freaking spots and the dancing had stopped, the 3 of them were all, I mean, especially Helms and more. My God, those 2. Just imagine the second TLC match at WrestleMania, but those 2 as the 4th team in it.
It would have been it would have been mental. Because the thing is as well, you forget, is that their best friends are the Hardy Boys.
Yep.
So they would have known exactly what spots to do. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. And the thing is as well, it's just not to wax lyrical. It's like you've got 3 Count, and we'll talk about them later, but you've got the Mammaloukes. People who dive in to a gimmick. Me personally, I am such a massive fan of gimmicks and characters. Like black boots, black tights. That's great. Gimme a gimmick and live it.
Bob, you're probably like me. You grew up on the early 90s WWF when everyone had a job.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Right. Every wrestler also had a job, because wrestling apparently at that time didn't pay well enough. So everyone, you could be a bin man, you could be a clown, you could be a copper, a Canadian copper or an American copper. It was your choice. But in my opinion, being a Canadian copper was a better idea because you got a more powerful weapon. So, and a better songs, to be honest. You got to sing your own song.
Very true.
But it was gimmicks that attracted most of us as kids to wrestling.
Yeah.
Like,
the thing is as well, I'm screaming out for these young guys who are currently in training schools, in British wrestling, American wrestling, doesn't matter who. Find something that will stand out in terms of a character. Like, boy band is an amazing gimmick. You could do that now. Do you know how over a 90s style boy band, NSYNC, Backstreet, but do you know how over they would be now?
Oh, Bob, no, we discussed this personally. You know what I want to see? I want to see 4 wrestlers in white snow jackets recreating the E17 video. Guys, you're leaving money on the table.
Get out there. Everyone wants to be a singles wrestler. They want to be the world champion. I get it. But if you're starting out and you don't know what to do, grab some couple of other people and just be like, let's work together and let's do something. Because you could get over.
I tell you what, right, Bob, I know obviously we're talking about this now, but if you want an example of that in British wrestling, VGS.
The violent partner.
Tommy Jackson.
4 lads who were just floating. Sorry, 3 lads, when they first started, 3 lads who were just floating. And Tommy Jackson had the idea, let's see if we can make this run. And they did it. A gimmick. They threw it together and it worked. And all three of them now are doing better than they were before they ever started that faction.
Helms did this sick looking, like I said, when a swanton bomb's not enough, you want to do a twisting swanton. But he comes down like that, man. He comes down literally until the last minute and then just
looks just a shame, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It looks, I mean, it makes Jeff look like dog shit. It's like he literally comes, like you said, he comes down nearly vertical upside down and tucks himself at the last second. Like Shane Helms, so good. Like
Shane Helms is an unbelievable wrestler.
Again, the Hurricane gimmick was obviously what made his bones in WWF and WWE, and that's fine. But personally, my favourite Shane Helms in WWF was when he dropped the Hurricane gimmick and won the Cruiserweight title, and was just like, no, I'm just an arsehole now, and I'm just going to go out and have boss matches. And he did, no matter what. He was having fantastic wrestling matches, but I think after doing a gimmick like the Hurricane, no matter what you do afterwards, people are not going to give a shit. Because they're like, no, put the mask back on, do the superhero thing.
What's up with that? The ending, it totally got Smiley over as a face because he's refusing help. He's walking out on his own 2 feet. He's kind of, it's like that Steve Austin WrestleMania 13 moment, but for Norman Smiley, minus the blood. If he was bleeding, it would have been like, oh my God, this is like a total Steve Austin face turn moment.
And the Austin push after that. That'd have been sick. Norman Smiley coming out, big wiggle and everyone dead angrily.
An aggressive big wiggle.
Yeah. Interesting tidbit. I was friends with a band years ago, talking like, God, before I was even involved in wrestling, I was friends with this funk band called New Wave Porn. And their most like popular song was called Big Wiggle. And it was literally written about the Big Wiggle. The guy who wrote all the songs for New Wave Porn, huge wrestling fan. And he wrote this song called The Big Wiggle, and everyone knew the dance move. So everyone in the room would be doing the Big Wiggle. And as a wrestling fan, you'd sit here and go, this is fucking amazing. And now, if this band was going today, Norman Smiley would have seen this. This was before the days of social media, so like he's never gonna get a fucking chance now. Like, but it was incredible. Like watching a whole room of people be like, "Who's got the biggest big wiggle?" Great, good times. Good times had by all.
I think you might get might get mesmerised too much by Norman Smiley's hips.
I enjoyed it. All 4 guys, awesome. And then we come back down to reality again.
You're right. Before this match starts, we get a Jeff Jarrett promo. And he must say slapnut about 16 times. And
give it up.
I'm just literally sitting there like wanting to quote Mean Girls at him and be like, stop trying to make slap nuts happen. It's not a thing. Nobody wants this.
I am so happy that you've just said that, because literally the first note that I've made about the show, because he kicks off the show, I just want to say, I love Jeff Jarrett. But slap nuts and slappy fucking sucks bollocks.
I hate slappy more than I hate slapnuts, because slapnuts is so bad. The fact that you've abbreviated it into something even fucking smaller does my head in.
I don't understand what he's doing. It's like when you give yourself a nickname.
Yeah.
That you're trying to get over. It's just like, it's not funny either. You know what I mean? Like, it's not funny. It's just, yeah. Let's turn to our Bibles for the next match. By the way, I'll get there. Because what's our next match?
Our next match is the shit cherry on the steaming pile of shit Sunday that this fucking pay-per-view already is. It's the Wall taking on everyone's favourite wrestler, and the greatest idea that anyone's ever came up with in wrestling, the Kiss Demon.
If you don't mind, gentlemen.
You know what makes this even better is watching the Kiss Demon's entrance on the WWE Network. So he's not even coming out to kiss.
If you don't mind, gentlemen, those of you who are following along with this series may have seen this book that we are currently holding. A book that I have read. I don't know if everyone else on this podcast has read this book. But anyway, if you all turn to your Bibles to page 288, and I just want to read you a little paragraph about this, just to kind of get because we're not like that kind of podcast where we talk about ratings and stuff, but we should talk about this. So, this show also made it apparent that the crutch of using celebrities didn't help matters either. The third match on the show featured The Wall versus the Kiss Demon in what was billed as a special main event. The Demon was a wrestler Eric Bischoff debuted in 1999 as part of the deal with Gene Simmons, in which the band was paid $500,000 for a 2.13 quarter hour. As far as I can tell, that's about maybe 1.5, 2, 3 million. It might be about 3 million people. I'm not sure how it works. As part of the agreement, WCW was required to use the Demon in a certain number of main event matches. In reality, they gave up on the Kiss Demon, who was Dale Torborn, within 1 week, leaving him as nothing but a jobber with a fancy ring entrance doing third match on the card, main events. $500,000.
Nobody gave a.
Hey, just. So you can't blame Russo for everything. You can't blame him.
You can't.
Because that was we've just seen that was a Bischoff decision. And we all know that Kiss came out, lip synced like 3 songs? And then fucked off. And as we've just seen from the book, nobody cared.
No one cared. I think concerts in wrestling dies a death.
Oh, yeah. To me, if that musical segment doesn't finish with a wrestler coming out and filling in one of the musicians, what was the fucking point? To me, to this day, the greatest musical concert on a wrestling show ever was Machine Gun Kelly.
Getting powerbombed off the stage by Kevin Owens.
Yeah, when my favourite wrestler comes out and powerbombs him off the fucking stage, it's the greatest moments ever. The only thing that would have made that better is if Eminem came out and just debuted the new Kevin Owens entrance music, just there and then. Like, that'd have been it.
Yeah, but this match, it was.
Shit.
It was shit. It was literally. I've said the Demon. Oh my Christ! The gimmick is dead. He lost. Didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he lost. The Wall jobbed him out pretty fucking quick. Like you said, like the book said, mate, they've given up on him at this point easily. And
what a waste.
Go on, Nick.
Go.
Right, you just said there that the character was dead. If he wasn't dead, he was dead as soon as they fucking decided to tell you it wasn't real blood, it was just food colouring.
Notes. Why does Tony Schiavone start going through the ingredients of the fake blood? Like, we don't I'm sorry. Do you remember when fucking Gangrel used to give people blood? Oh yeah, he's covered them there with that liquid that's covered full of food colouring and start. That's similar to the stuff they use in the movie Carrie.
Can we just? How is the Tony Schiavone that we hear on AEW Dynamite? How is this the same person?
20 years experience.
I can tell you at this point, because the Tony Schiavone from before this period, like up until about 98, I'd say 98, 99, right? Was still peak Tony Schiavone, was still fantastic, as good as he is now, right? I honestly think at this point he'd fucking given up. He did not give a fuck anymore. He was done with this shit.
This
Just
is not
like
the
me.
last.
We're going to talk about me, Gene Oakland in a bit. I got issues with me and Gene Oakland in the year 2000.
We've not heard the end of. We've not heard the end of Tony Schiavone by the end of this show, by the way.
Oh no, he's I think I know what you're on about. Do you know what, Bob? Let me just let you people in. Obviously, we talk before we do this podcast. We do like message each other and whatnot. And me and Bob have had a continuous argument about Mark Madden. Bobby defends Mark Madden.
Wait.
And I think this show, right? There's a couple of times I was watching this show where I was like, you know what? Maybe Bob's right. Maybe Mark Madden is actually adding something to this show. And then there's moments where I'm like, Mark Madden is an absolute piece of shit, and if Bobby Cash sticks with this, I'm going to have to tar him with the same fucking brush.
In my defense, when I told you that he wasn't that bad, I hadn't finished the show yet. Yeah, he's fucking dog shit, isn't he? The thing is, the reason why I don't like him is obviously he's trying to rip off Jerry Lawler. It's not, but at the same time, he's a gobshite because he just gives things. He doesn't sell things. Like if something happens in the ring, he doesn't go with it. He's always trying to find. He's always trying to be clever. There's one thing that Mark Madden says, and it's in the Booker match later. I'll get to it later.
Madden has 1 point. Madden has one redeeming point in this whole show, and we'll get to it. I messaged you, Bobby, with it. I quoted it, and I was like, "That was gold." But that's it. You know, a broken clock is right twice a day, kind of thing. So that was his once. Yeah, I'll mention it when it turns up. But yeah, again, this match, you know,
do you think? Are you a fan of commentary? Didn't think so.
Yeah, I remember you messaged me this morning. But yeah, we're getting through these matches, aren't we?
Not really much to talk about, is there, to be fair?
The match is awful. The wall is great when he's jobbing out little dudes, but Demon shit, couldn't bump for him, couldn't make him look good. It didn't do the wall any favours, and it just made Demon look like shit. Nobody benefited from this match, especially not us, the audience. We are up now to Tank Abbott versus Big Al. Leather jacket on a pole match.
Skins. They described it as skins without telling anybody what the fuck a skins on a pole match was. I was like, wow, damn, man, is this going to get fucking like graphic? Is this what the hell is? Oh, it's leather jacket. Okay, fair enough.
The synopsis for this show on the WWE Network. It lists off a few of the matches and then says, also, Tank Abbott takes on Big Al in a leather jacket on a pole match. And I'm like, that's exactly what it was. And it was that fucking shit. But,
Can I shock you?
Go on.
I really like this.
I knew you were going to say that. I fucking knew you were going to say that.
It was, okay, obviously it was...
Why?
Obviously it was bad. But there's a point in the match, I want to call it a match, where they're cooperating with each other. They are. And then I was watching it because I knew it takes a turn in a minute. I was watching it and I was trying to think, what happens? And then you do that. They're holding each other's wrists and they're punching each other as hard as they can. It must have been something like that. And I actually quite like this. There was a spot in the. I know your opinion of me has really gone down tonight. I get it. It's fine. But there's a point in the match where I think Tank Abbott, he has Big Al on his shoulders and he's trying to climb up the turnbuckle to get the skin and he just drops him and it's the fucking funniest thing.
Yep, I'm actually pretty sure that's the finish. He's carrying him up. He tries to get the jacket and then he drops him and then just takes it anyway and just wins.
But Big Al stands on Tank's face And like legitimately pisses him off. He just stands up and he's like, "What the? What are you doing?"
He does. And then we all know. Well, we should. If you don't know what happens, Nick, explain it to us.
Are we on about the bit at the end of the match
yes,
with
we are.
I could fucking kill you. And then Tony Schiavone's like, oh, he was going to cut he had a pair of scissors, he was going to cut his beard off. It's like, no, Tony, that's not what he was going to do. He was going to fucking murk him, hence why he went to a wide angle camera for 5 minutes.
If there's anyone who can't think on his feet, it's Tony Schiavone.
Yeah.
Because he said, yeah, exactly right. He said he was just trying to shave Al's beard, but unfortunately for Tony, Al didn't have a beard.
He did not. No. Al had zero facial hair.
But yeah, I mean, on the network version, which I'm sure is the same on all the versions that have been released, it cuts away. But yeah, for some reason, he puts a knife to a Big Al's throat. Okay.
Tank's crazy.
Big Al was never seen again because he's in a ditch somewhere close to the arena, thanks to Tank Abbott.
Vince Russo wanted to put the belt on him.
Freak out.
Ooh.
So,
yes, sorry about that, but I told you my hot takes are spicy.
That was.
That was.
I'm sorry, Bob. I love you, but I can't agree with you on that one. That match was absolute dog shit. Like just awful. Like there's a place for Tank Abbott, and on a pole matches isn't it?
I will just point out that I never once said the match was good.
No, you didn't. You said you enjoyed it. And I told you that you were wrong, and I'm standing by what I said.
You were wrong to enjoy it, and you know you were. We're not mad. We're just disappointed.
You enjoyed that match, and you shouldn't have, and you know you shouldn't have in your heart of hearts.
I'm sorry.
Right, what's the next one?
Right, next. Let me just take a quick look at me now. Oh, okay, next we have... very interesting. The rights to the letter T.
Oh, fucking hell.
Booker T versus Big T for the rights to the letter T. And
they just came up with any old shit, didn't they?
They did, and then... Right, forget the match. It's this new dude who turns up at the end. Stevie Ray was like, you know, they used to call me the fat one out of Harlem Heat. So I'm going to get two of the fattest wrestlers I can find to be part of the new Harlem Heat so I can be the skinny one. That's all I can... That's literally... I have to assume that was Stevie Ray's thinking behind this new Harlem Heat. Just get the two big dudes who are bigger than me so I can be the skinny one. People might just start thinking I'm Booker.
Can we just talk about... it's Clarence Mason. I can't remember what his name is.
Jason Biggs or something like that.
That's the one. Jay Biggs or something. He's great.
Jason Biggs is from American Pie. Just to clarify.
Jason Biggs is Jim from American Pie,
yeah. It's not that one, it's somebody else.
It's Jay Biggs. Clarence Mason. The Nation of Domination. He's really good. He's probably what that group needs. It's someone who can actually talk and do a lot of the heavy lifting, because in the storyline they own everything Harlem Heat related, which includes Booker T's music.
Yes.
And he came out to the most Magic Kingdom fucking Disney, and I thought it was so funny.
That was probably, for me, that was probably the best bit of the match, was like this random cheesy "It's a Small World After All" fucking tune starts,
That's exactly
kicks in, and there's Booker T coming out like...
Brilliant. So good.
Still the most intense motherfucker in the room. Like, it's pyro. He didn't give a fuck. He's like, no, don't care. I'm still Booker T. I don't give a shit. And it was fantastic. It was brilliant. Going back to what you just said there, Bob, about like what this group needed. Like you said, they needed a voice. My personal opinion is, do you know what this group needed? Booker T.
Yes.
A heel Booker T. And then this group.
Yeah.
Mate.
Yeah.
You could see at that point they were trying. The whole point of the new Harlem Heat was to try and be like a new version of the Nation. Not in a militant kind of way, like the way the Nation was, but we're going to get a group of tough black guys in a faction together. You want someone to talk for that group, and you want to push Booker T. Push him as a fucking heel for a bit. He could have been the Rock of that group.
He could have been. He really could have gone up a level. Because look, because this is the thing. It's like Booker T wins the world title down the line. We'll get there, but he could have won it earlier. Because he could have been next in line versus Sid. Spoilers for later, but could have been.
What I will say is, as well, did you notice the poster for this show?
I've got it. I can get it. I've got it up here actually.
For anyone who's not seen it or who can't be asked, Googling right now while you're watching the podcast. The poster is basically, it says like SuperBrawl 2000, and then it's the title belt, and then it's like a giant version of the title belt, and it looks like Booker T's doing pull-ups on the belt, and it's like Booker T grasping the world title, and it's like, oh, that's cool. Booker T is nowhere near the title picture at this point. It makes zero sense to have that graphic, but I'm assuming someone went, oh, that looks cool. Let's throw that on there. Is Booker T in the title match? I don't fucking know. Just put it on.
I'm actually really looking forward to seeing Booker T's development between now and Bash at the Beach.
It's G.I. Bro.
Oh, fucking hell. Right, never mind.
Fine. No. Have we missed it? Or have we still got Misfits in action to come?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck off.
I think for me,
erection, yay! Dick jokes are funny.
Dude, we were laughing at him wanting knobs earlier. We can't say nothing. We're not totally innocent.
Okay, I was right this second years old when I realised how Jerry Saggs' name is quite fucking rude too. It's literally just dawned on me after 37 years of being alive that Jerry Saggs is a rude name too.
Well, I didn't realise that Slapnuts was wanking until about a couple of years ago.
Right now?
You didn't know that? Yeah. Do you slap your nuts, Mr. King?
Because I feel like that would be painful as fuck.
So the five knuckle shuffle.
Jared didn't get over there. Fucking hey, you wank. You punch yourself in the testicles. Well, you're not doing it right then, obviously. Slap it.
What is happening? It's Friday night. What's happening?
Telling me you don't spend your Friday night on a video call with your mates talking about masturbating. Fucking weird, you.
I haven't got any mates.
Well, now you do, Bobby. Friends forever.
Friends
forever. Fucking friend.
Anyway, enough about the slapping of nuts and Saggy's knob. I can't remember what match was it. It was bollocks. Yeah, I remember. Is it Billy Kidman?
Not Billy Kidman. Right now, it's hang on, maybe it is.
No,
Have we forgot Kidman versus Vampiro?
No, I've written one sentence. I wrote Vampiro versus Billy Kidman. Who fucking cares? So you may talk about this because I just don't care.
But Nick, I'm with Bobby on this one. I don't know. I can't even remember whereabouts in the card it happens. We may have already gone past it. But Billy Kidman versus Vampiro, who gives a fuck? Why?
Me. I've got that one thing I said Madden said that was sliced fried gold. happened in this match. He
Go on
made a
then.
line. He made a line of, if Tori beats Vampiro, does that make her Tori the Vampiro Slayer? I popped for that. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, my Mark Madden quip was actually in the match before this. Was the Booker T
Was it the
match?
Was it the Malcolm X line where if Malcolm
No.
had given his attitude, he would have just been Malcolm?
No. What he said was what was it? It was some smart remark about the fact that we're talking about Booker, and he's like, "Well, we can get a Booker out here right now and do what we need to do." I'm just like,
Yes, the book. He's in the. Oh, complain to the Booker. He's in the ring.
yeah, complain to the Booker who's in the ring. He said, "Oh, I've heard he's backstage or something."
Yeah, yeah, I popped for that, to be fair. But obviously, I haven't met anybody.
I'm sorry. I'm going to be a proper arsehole traditionalist now, right? You've enjoyed that because you have a good knowledge of the business. Mark Madden is a fucking prick for saying that on a pay-per-view.
Yes.
Right? He just is. Oh, I made a comment for the boys. Oh, they're all going to pop for that. Oh, look at me. All I want of you. Call my hotline. Fuck off, Madden, you.
Who is Mark Madden?
He was literally, before this, he was the WCW online guy and the WCW hotline guy. That was his job. He talked shit about nothing. Like, when you ring up Mean Gene's line and someone would give you a fake fucking rumour. Oh, apparently there was a WWF superstar backstage this week. Call the Mean Gene line now and you'll find out who it was. It was Alondra Blaze. She signed like 2 years ago. Yeah, well, fuck you, it was. Shut up. I mean, it was bullshit. And that's what Mark Madden ran. And then he somehow fucking got some kind of fucking blackmail material on someone and went, I'll use this and you better put me on commentary. And he did. I'm assuming. This is all conjecture. All hearsay. Don't sue me, Mark Madden, if you ever hear this podcast.
Right.
I'm basically making all this shit up.
It might be true. Who knows? But yes. Right. We'll skip on anyway. So, yeah, the whole James Brown thing. For me, I said from the get-go, this was a massive... You've got somebody like James Brown on, you advertise that you've got James Brown on your show, it might sell a few more tickets, it might garner a bit more interest, you might get some sort of media crossover. You don't hype it as in like, oh, maybe James Brown is going to be here, because that translates to he ain't going to be here normally. Any wrestling fan will be like, no, mate, he ain't there. And it's like, oh, shit, he was there. Why did you not hype this up?
This is when you've got the cat, who is like notorious for being a bullshitter on TV. And he's saying James Brown's going to be there. No one's going to believe it. My notes for this, I have to go through my actual notes because my first note says, "Oh, wow, James Brown appears," but not really. Yeah. Then my second note says, "Oh, wow, Ryan Shamrock appears." I was like, I actually had to stop it. I was like, "Is that? No, it isn't." I was like, right, IMDb, Ryan Shamrock. Holy shit, it was. No way. Can you imagine that? But anyway, and then my next note was, a while James Brown appears, but for real this time. And he was formerly known as Prince Iakea's gear.
Thing is that I couldn't believe it. And I actually knew this happened. What I couldn't believe is that a heel promising that a celebrity that he's mates with will turn up, and then he actually did.
Pretty sure this was the beginning of the Cat's babyface turn. I think that the whole, like you said, Bob, there's never been a moment in history where a heel has promised that someone's going to show up, and they show up, and the fans get what they were promised, and we see it on this show, and then it ends with the Cat and James Brown dancing to what I'm sure was a great song if I'd have watched it on anything but the WWE network, like. But yeah, I think this to me came across as like These are two heels, the Cat and the Maestro. The Maestro is possibly one of the worst in the history of gimmicks.
He is.
And he's just awful. And then, but he had Ryan Shamrock, and I was like, yeah, she's fitty. I like that. I miss Ryan Shamrock.
James Brown, on your point there, Nick, about him being kept a secret, they paid him $25,000 to show up, do a dance, and bring no additional viewers with him.
Yeah.
It's things like that I don't get. If you're going to get James Brown in, well, that's fine. But fucking tell everyone.
Yeah. So, anyway, we won't dwell on too long because, King, you said you saw James Brown.
Yeah, just an interesting, another off the subject King anecdote. I once saw James Brown in London. We'd gone to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers in Hyde Park, and James Brown was the special guest support act. And he played for about an hour. Swear to God, he did 2 songs. And it was incredible. Fucking incredible. Dude was old as fuck. Did the whole thing, the whole James Brown show. Amazing. Played Living in America. Made my fucking day. I was like, I really hope a massive Russian comes out now and kills a boxer.
If he dies, he dies. But yeah, so... Right, what was after this one?
Right, well... Actually, before this one, since you were dying to get the fucking James Brown segments on to things, I'll let you skip over the fact that the Mammaloukes versus
Crowbar, Daphne,
a Sicilian stretcher match, I might add.
Sorry, I forgot. Sorry, Crowbar.
Yes, Crowbar, our boy.
I can't believe you're throwing so much disrespect towards our boy Crowbar.
Throwing it out there right now. Throwing it out there right now. This was my match of the night.
Yeah.
Enjoyed this match. What I will say is, and I've said this since I was a young man, and it's never really come up in conversation, but I'll say it now. Johnny the Bull Stamboli practically had money tattooed on his fucking forehead. Why did nobody run with this kid? He was massive. He was athletic. He looked the shit. Man. And the thing is as well, you could tell he got it because he was happy to do the comedy stuff and to like take the piss and have a joke around. But he could go. And to me, I don't know what happened there. Who the fuck dropped the ball with Johnny the Bull Stamboli?
Well, this group is in the same boat as 3 Count. They've been given a gimmick and they've lived it and they've done really well. I think Johnny the Bull, he got signed for the invasion, and he was in the FBI. And then after that, nothing. Just that was it.
Yeah, because both of these ended up in the FBI and WWE. And then Johnny, after the FBI was done, Johnny the Bull was gone. And then you only had Vito. And then Vito started doing the dress gimmick not too long after that. And fuck me, if anyone ever absolutely smashed that dress gimmick, him and Perry Saturn. Something about bald dudes in dresses, they just smash it. Because like Perry Saturn owned it in WCW. And then Vito owned it in WWF. It's just bald guys in dresses, apparently, in wrestling. That is money.
I think we found David Flair's level.
Get me a dress. I mean, you're right. We found David Flair's level.
A brawl, no DQ style match where he doesn't have to take any moves. He can just
get hit with things.
Yeah, get hit with things.
I've actually made quite a few notes for this one. David Flair's chops are terrible, and out of every wrestling move known to man, you'd think the one thing David Flair would be able to do well is possibly a chop.
We could be here all night, dude, talking about David Flair.
Right, well, that. To be honest, that is literally my only real comment about David Flair. Other than Daphne probably should have been Crowbar's tag partner because this match would have been better.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Shout out to, as you said, our boy Crowbar carried that side. Daphne was awesome as well. Those table spots were just brutal. And
was rough.
The silliness of the stretcher bits was just crazy. But any other team, it wouldn't have worked. But for somehow, 5 out of the 6 people involved made this work. Even Disco made this work for me. I enjoyed Disco in this match.
See, I still think Disco is a detriment to the full-blooded Italians. Like, I honestly think they'd be better off without Disco Inferno as part of the group. I genuinely feel, and that's not just because I think Disco's a piece of shit. I just don't think he's entertaining. I don't think he brings anything to the group. Those two, put either of those two on the mic, and they were funny as fuck. And then Disco's just being Disco Inferno. I'm like, oh, mate, come on. That's never made you any money. Stop doing that.
I did like it after he got maced. Sorry, I was going to say, I liked it after he got maced, and then he'd hear something like, was that our team? Was that good for us? I liked he sold the mace. That amused me a little bit.
Credit where credit's due. It was clever that he got back on the headset and acted like he was blind. I did like that.
Sorry, Bobby.
Sorry, can you hear the begrudginess in my voice when I'm saying nice about Disco Inferno?
No, I get it. He's an arsehole, but he's still quite amusing.
One thing I will say about this one as well, at the end, they duct tape Daphne to a wheelchair, and I'm fucking telling you right now, Tony Schiavone makes a tip bondage porn joke. I caught that shit. I've literally wrote down, so we're just taping women to chairs and shit and making tip bondage porn jokes now? Is this Archer?
It's like, he's seen Mark Madden and he's like, I'll show you, CD.
Look, I mean, fuck me. Like, they're basically like, oh, well, looks like there's a sexual assault taking place right now. For it, yeah. Yeah, she's screaming. She must be enjoying herself if she's screaming. Whoa, boys!
Talking of sexual assault, guess who's next?
Nick, I've just seen you react because you know that last bit that I just said was a legitimate line on commentary.
Yep.
And Daphne was screaming for help. She's like, oh, well, screaming is normally an indication that she's enjoying herself.
No. I was like, and it was Schiavone that said it. I was just like, such a mad.
That's what made it worse. Come on, Tony, you're better than this.
He's having a bad night, Tony.
He is.
But the takeaway though is we love Crowbar. Big up Crowbar. Yes.
Can we get Crowbar on the show?
I've got a message typed out. I just still need to send it. I'm not going to lie. But...
Send it. We won't even do a review show. We'll just do a show with the three of us interview him. And by interview him, tell him how much we fucking love him.
What's next? Well, on with the next one.
Okay.
Flair versus...
We're supposed to be doing this, and now it's me who is doing the oh, right, okay. So we are now up to the Texas Death Match between the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, and the hardcore legend, middle-aged and crazy, Terry Funk. Now, originally on my notes, when we watched the intro to this show at the beginning, and it introduced this match, I wrote on my notes, Funk versus Flair, Texas Death Match, I am all for this. Right? And then as the show went on, I thought, there's a reason this show's that bad. Could this... No. Flair and Funk will save it. Wow, this was not the Flair and Funk of the late 80s.
I feel bad. I feel bad even talking about this match, in fairness.
I actually wrote, the first thing I wrote in my notes was, I'm sorry, but my ADHD kicked in during this one. And it did. Also, why was Funk asking Flair to quit? This is a Texas death match, not an I quit match. And to be fair, I kind of hate Texas death matches.
Oh, you've just taken the words right out of my mouth there.
I love a last man standing match, but the added steps that are added to it in a Texas death match just make it more complicated for no reason. You've got to pin him, then wait for the count, and if they get up, you've got to pin him again. No, just fucking knock him out. Just go with that one.
The only notes I wrote for this match were, this match was really boring. It was boring. Bad match. Bad moves. I also hate the Texas Deathmatch stip is terrible.
I will say this as well. I had one more good note and one more bad note for this match. And since it's already been a big stack of shit, we'll put good notes in now and then we'll top it off so it's a big stacked up shit sandwich. I didn't think they needed Funk to get on the microphone and fucking say it, but I did like how he set the table up and was like, I'm going to fucking break your neck like I did back at fucking in Music City. And he gets him up, pile driving through the table. Flair gets back up. Funk pulls his arm up, which again, fucking stupid. They should have had him cover him and had Flair do at least 2 and 9 on that one. But what pissed me off was that Flair could survive that, but Funk couldn't survive what looked like the easiest fucking back bump through a table I've ever seen in my life. Like, barely off the top rope. Funk lies there like he's enjoying a warm bath. And he gets counted out. And I literally remember going, Flair's just gone through the table. And I looked away. And then the count started, I'm like, no, this isn't the finish. That's terrible. I've seen him get blown up. He's not going to stay down off that. Oh, shit, it's the end.
This is the thing that baffled me about this match, is that it just ends.
Yeah.
There's no big build.
To them guys, you need to fucking go home now.
No, not good. Not good.
Awful from 2 of the greatest who ever did it. Shame. Ring bell. Shame.
Shame. I am very aware of time again.
Okay, we've only got 2 matches, and honestly, we can fly through these 2 cunts because they're both terrible.
Oh yeah, I can sum this next match up in literally 5 seconds.
I don't even want to talk about the next. I don't even want to talk about the next match. So I'll leave you two to quickly do it.
Okay. Hogan versus Luger. Hogan chokes Luger with his shirt. What a babyface. Hogan whips Lex. Jimmy Hart with a shot to the back. Hogan hits Lex with his cast. Leg drop. Hogan win. Huge pop. Unbelievable.
I need to make a point about this though as well, right? They talk about Hogan. He's slipping back into Hollywood. I saw Hogan in WWF choke cunts with his shirt, bite people's fucking faces, hit people with steel chairs, cost Sid Vicious the Rumble by eliminating him when he'd already been thrown out. Hogan was always a fucking heel. Hogan always wrestled like a heel. It was just, he was the big sausage man, so everyone liked him.
He threw ashes in The Undertaker's face and won the world title.
Anyway, main event. Let's talk about the main event. Let's get to the ruler of the universe, Big Sid.
Before we get to the main event, one last point I would like to say about this. At the end, Flair comes out and attacks Hogan. Flair and Luger are putting a beat down on Hogan. And of all the people in the fucking world, Sting comes out to save Hogan. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of how long they feuded for and the whole NWO thing. But when Hogan and Sting, especially because it's black face paint crow Sting, when they shake hands and hug in the middle of the ring, it's the most unnatural fucking. It's like Voldemort hugging fucking Hogan
Harry Potter.
the fucking Harry Potter. That's what it felt like to me. But yeah, go on, Nick. I know you're trying to steam through, so let's get to this fucking god-awful 6-minute main event.
6 minutes for three guys, two of which I absolutely love and always pop for. Sorry, Bobby, I don't like Jarrett. I've never liked Jarrett. But Scott Hall is a goddamn legend, and Sid is the ruler of the universe.
So many moments in this match when I was watching it, I was going, it still knocks me sick that Scott Hall was never the world champ. It really does. It honestly knocks me fucking sick. Also, Jeff Jarrett swats about 6 referees in this match. Fuck's got to get slipped.
He wants Slick Johnson, doesn't he? That's the whole thing, they're just, for some reason, he just goes through all the referees to get Slick Johnson in, to then go, oh, shoulder.
I actually thought this match was okay. I actually quite liked it. It was just the last 5 minutes, but the problem is that the Harris twins were in it. Jarrett was beating the shit out of people. Is Scott Hall the coolest wrestler ever? Cool?
Possibly.
Yeah, he is cool.
In the top 3 of coolest wrestlers ever, with Kevin Nash and
Kevin
Nash, Scott Hall, Orange Cassidy. That's the 3 coolest wrestlers who ever lived.
Wow.
If you refer back to the Bible, I won't read the paragraph, but there's a great little segment on page 287 that talks about the fact that Scott Hall thought he was going to get fired before this match took place because he got drunk and water was wet. He got drunk on a tour of Germany and beat the shit out of someone, I think. You have to read it. But it's probably why, he ate the pin and stuff like that. But what would... I know that we're short on time, but I would really want to talk about this. Scott Hall being in a main event is weird.
Yeah.
So what would the modern equivalent be now of someone who, if they were in a main event, you just knew that they weren't going to win?
Sami Zayn.
Ricochet when he was in WWE.
Or Sami Zayn.
Yeah, Sami Zayn. Yeah, maybe.
But but Ricochet in his WWE run, I would have never believed him to have won the big one ever. They just never ever marketed him in that way.
And just quickly, 2 shows, 2 Michael Buffer appearances. Fuck that guy.
Oh, Bruce is better. Also, before we finish, they had this whole gimmick throughout the whole show. There's a locked locker room, and there's a dude in that locker room, and oh my god, who is the dude going to be? And then Roddy Piper comes out with no music. There's bedlam kicking off in the ring. He comes out in a ref shirt. Nobody gave a fuck. I felt so bad.
It's Piper, for God's sake. The guy's a legend. Yeah.
But like they did, if the bagpipes had kicked in and the action in the ring had stopped before Piper came out, perfect. But it didn't. The chaos that was going on and the lack of music and everything, it shit on that moment. That could have been a big moment for Piper coming back, and they just fucked it big time. So yeah, once again, WCW, you dropped the fucking ball with this one. I can't believe as well that you told us before, Bob, that this was Kevin Sullivan.
That wasn't me. That was Nick. I didn't know it was Kevin. I didn't know it was Kevin Sullivan.
It's because Bob's been coming at me with all these book facts.
No.
This stinks of Russo. Like, stinks of Vince Russo. And the fact that this is Kevin Sullivan, that shocks me, because Kevin Sullivan has got a reputation for being one of the best bookers there ever was. And
yeah, I want to need a jury out on that one.
No, he come up with some good shit, man. Remember, a lot of people forget he was a booker during the NWO era as well.
I suppose. Yeah.
Everyone says like, "Oh, Bischoff was the driving force." No, you had your bookers, and your bookers would have wrote stories for it. Sullivan would have been a big part of what made that successful. So that's why I take this as a shock, because Sullivan did some great some great booking, but this was not it.
If I had to sum up this show, then, in terms of what I thought the show was worse than Sold Out. We'll go out there. It was worse than Sold Out, but I'm still in it. You know, I'm still there. There's some things which really I don't care for, but there's still some glimmers. 3 Count, Booker T, the Mammaloukes, Crowbar. You know, there's still some stuff to hold on to. Sid.
I'll tell you who this pay-per-view was missing, in my opinion. He was missing Chris Kanyon and Diamond Dallas Page. Where the fuck was DDP?
Yeah, good point.
Do you know what, right? The DDP, to me, is, like, personally, is the best thing to ever come out of WCW. Like, the best homegrown WCW star. I always felt Vince did him dirty, bringing him in as fucking Sarah Stalker and all that shit. And shit gimmick after shit gimmick. Because DDP, when WCW had no real stars of their own, when the NWO was completely in control, and when Sting was still hanging around in the fucking rafters, DDP was the man. Before there was a Goldberg, DDP was the man. And it wasn't until the shine was off him that they actually put the belt on him. He should have taken the belt at least 6 months before he did. And if the Goldberg hype train hadn't come fucking storming through, I think DDP would have been the one to take the belt off Hogan.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
The second time round, after he beat Sting, after Sting fucking beat him, and then he gets the belt back, you needed another big baby face. I think that would have been Diamond Dallas Page's perfect time.
Yeah, because he'd beaten Savage. He'd beaten Savage, so the next obvious step would be Hogan.
Yeah, and still to this day, one of my absolute all-time favourite wrestling feuds is Diamond Dallas Page and Randy Savage. Absolutely fantastic. The stuff they were doing to build the feud was great. They made Liz into a complete bitch. Oh my God, I never, ever thought it'd be possible to hate Miss Elizabeth, but my God, they made it fucking work in that one. They really did.
We've got a lot of DDP coming up.
Good.
Yes.
Where are we next?
Uncensored next. So, but for this show, Bobby's summed it up. Mr. King, a quick summary, better or worse than Sold Out?
I'm going to say it's objectively worse than Sold Out, because Sold Out at least had a very decent main event in Sid and Benoit. It had some fucking Diamond Dallas Page. It had Kevin Nash wrestling. You know, I think this pay-per-view was lacking star power. And I know Hogan was back, but his match felt like blink and you missed it. Both that and the main event felt like blink and you missed it. The whole show was built up of guys who weren't stars, and then you got a little flash of stars at the end. I don't know. It just didn't feel like a strong pay-per-view. This could have very easily been a 3-hour Nitro. Still a Nitro, but it would have been a Nitro nonetheless.
Yeah,
right.
I agree with that.
We'll sign off. Bobby, let people know where they can find you on the socials. If they need somebody to do a raffle or, announce a show, let them hit you up.
Yeah, you can get me on Twitter at the Bobby Cash, or you can get me on Instagram, Bobby J Cash. And if you want to book me to announce your show or to appear on your show, hit me up. I'm very much interested. Listening, DJ King.
It's a shame there's no wrestling promoters on this show.
Yeah, that's no
one wrestling company, no one whatsoever.
Doesn't work for me, brother.
Oh, sorry, brother. Right, well, you can catch me on the socials. You can catch me at TNT. You can catch me at Sog Pro when we're back. You can catch me at Off the Page. And here's an exclusive for Work the Left Side, Brothers.
Ooh.
As of December. We might have to edit this out because I might get told off for announcing this. But you'll be able to hear my lovely voice on commentary for True Grit Wrestling in York.
You're joking.
DJ King is coming to York, baby! We go party in Midlands!
I will see you there.
Yeah, you will, baby! This is why I didn't tell you before. I wanted to say on the show.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes,
Beautiful.
I am coming to True Grit Wrestling to work with my good friend and colleague, Tom McManus. We're going to have a hell of a good time. And yeah, hopefully I can bring... hopefully people enjoy what I do enough that I can come back to York more.
Well, hopefully the three of us will all be there, so that'll be nice.
Nope.
That's amazing. I'm so freaking hyped for that. That is awesome.
We need, even if we just film something short, we need to film something with the three of us together. I'm saying that right now.
Yeah.
Okay, we better practice 3 counts entrance music. Okay.
If you see me walking around with 3 big circles, get scared. Get very scared.
What you mean hyped?
Hyped, sorry, hyped. Yeah, not scared. Yeah, sorry. Translate into hyped. Excitable. Just yes. Oh man, can you imagine JC's face if we just bust a move out on 3 big circles at a True Grit show?
Oh, right. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff, guys. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to Uncensored. Hopefully, obviously, everybody enjoys watching this.
I'm looking forward to recording the show about Uncensored. I'm not looking forward to watching it.
I enjoy talking about it. We suffer the pain of watching, so we can have a laugh talking about it afterwards. That makes it worthwhile. That's the flip side to it. That's the silver lining. But yeah, obviously you've made it this far.
You too.
You made it this far. Thank you for watching. Hit like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the other stuff I ask you to do. Keep your eyes peeled. We've got lots of cool stuff coming up. And talking to True Grit, I'm joined by Paul next week ahead of his match with Enserico against NRG. So we'll have a little chit chat because I don't think JC is going to get him on the let Bobby talk to him. So he's going to talk to me instead.
Well, yeah, I'm doing the AMAs now, but I don't know who the guests are until I'm told by the management. So
JC's not going to give him the rub. JC's not going to give Paul any time, so I'll take I'll talk to him for you, Bobby. It's all right. Well, come on, join me. Join me and Paul for a conversation. So, but thank you for watching, and we will be back again very soon. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.